Welcome to the Rundown. My name is Ryan.
My name is Ray, and Ryan, baseball is upon us.
It's
Finally.
back. I know. I feel like you've been waiting not so patiently for months about
The
this.
baseball off season just seems longer to me than any other off season. Maybe it's because it falls in the winter where I'm miserable and waiting for the sun to come back out and getting seasonal depression. But yeah,
Ooh, got to
baseball
get
off
that
seasons are
sad.
they're
Yeah.
brutal. They're brutal. And it was especially brutal this year because the Yankees didn't do much in the off season. So it wasn't like I had moves to, you know, get me encouraged for the season. I mean, I am excited. But yeah, we didn't make a lot of moves this off season, so it just kind of dragged, I think, is really what it was this
Hmm.
year.
I feel that way about football. Like right now, I'm just kind of like, oh my God, can we get to the draft at least? Something.
The football just finished a month ago,
It
Ryan.
felt like longer. Yeah, but my team finished a lot sooner than that. So
But
that's
let's
part
not
of the
talk about my
problem.
team.
Your
Yeah, no,
team
I
finished
get it.
even, earlier down the line than me.
Yeah, early to mid-January, our seasons are normally finished in Cleveland.
I will say though, for baseball, this is the first year that I've participated in fantasy baseball. And I gotta tell you, during that draft, Ray, I've never been more stressed in my life. That was maybe one of the most stressful experiences I've ever had.
First of all, to our listeners, Ryan and I are part of the same baseball fantasy league. So, Ryan, that draft, 2 hours.
Way too
2
long.
hours, way too
Way too
long.
long.
Way too long. And as a new fantasy player, how do you feel your team's looking?
I think I'm okay. Definitely like a middle of the pack. There's nothing drastically wrong with who I picked. But you go in and you have this whole plan. Like I had this whole discussion with my younger brother who's a big baseball fan. He's a Nationals fan. And, he's given me names. We're going through positions, all of this stuff. I get to the draft. I'm pick 10, which trash.
You're already off to a bad start.
Sorry, off to a bad start. And then by the time they get to me, like half my list is gone. And
So you
then you
sent
have to
so you sent
yeah,
you sent me that list ahead of time, right? So
yeah,
I'm like looking at the list. You had great names on there, but like I'm like by round two, most of those names are
you're
gone.
done.
You have
You're
to have
done.
backups for your backups.
You're done. Yeah. I think what I didn't quite wrap my head around was how it went slowly, but how fast everyone goes. So, you're watching, of course, like Otani, Judge, Soto, like those are the first to go. Although Ray and I did have a good laugh because I was like, what if I was first and like didn't pick Otani? What if I just was like, I'm going to pick somebody else? And then I would get laughed out of, you know, any fantasy baseball league ever. But
Yeah, there's no dimension in which you can't pick Otani first. You got to do it.
I love,
Like him or
I
not,
was
you
like,
got to
nah,
do it.
I don't really want him. So, we're going through it. I'm losing players left and right. I have to call Ray on the phone because I'm like panicked about what to even do. And, and
Yeah, it was
we
like the end of round one you called me.
I
Round
don't
one
even
or
think the
two. I'm
round had
like,
ended. I think it was
no.
midway through the round. And I'm like, first I call
You're
my
like, where is
brother.
everybody?
First off, I call my brother. I'm in a panic. He's given me like 15 more names, and I can't spell any of these people's names to save my own life. I'm like, okay, phonetically, that sounds about right.
Some of your pronunciations on these names, Ryan, oh,
So bad.
golden.
It was so bad. It was awful. So, I'm on the phone with Ray. But you know what? The best part is that I think you said it best, which is like by the last couple rounds, it's like nobody even knows who they're picking anymore. It's like you're just desperately looking at some stat going, okay,
Promising.
that sounds all right.
Potential. Uh-huh.
How many home runs again? Sure, let's throw them in there. So I don't feel terrible about my players. So we'll just have to see how it goes. I'm going into this with zero expectation, which is the exact way I'm going into this season with the Mets. Like, no expectation.
The Mets have a good
I don't know.
team.
Listen,
But what's the no expectations thing about? You guys got a pretty good team. You have World Series aspirations, I thought, no?
Ray, what have we learned about the Mets?
You tell me, Ryan, what have we learned? What have we learned
That,
over these last few years? What did you learn last season after you guys stole Juan Soto from the Yankees? You guys were pretty happy about that. I'm sure you at least made the playoffs, right?
what I learned about that? The Mets are going to Met.
The Mets will
And
always met.
we're going to do it at a horrible time. We're going to do it when it's highly inconvenient. And, we're going to lose out a playoff spot to the Reds. That's what I
Wow,
learned last season.
what a way to end your season, letting the Reds in over you. That was it was a painful offseason, I think, for most Mets fans.
It was.
Until, I mean, you guys made a lot. You now, I spoke
We
about
made
the
some
Yankees
moves.
not making a lot of moves, but I will say the Mets, you guys made some real big moves.
We did. We made some moves.
You flipped your roster over, and I think the outlook going into this year for you guys has to be a little bit better, especially considering how the season ended last year for you guys. I think it was very imperative that the Mets front office come back and show fans that
Yes.
they were willing to do right by them. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm not going in with any expectation. I think we're going to do our best. And I hope our best is good enough. I'm lowering the bar a little bit. I'm not going out with any like big grand dreams. We're, just seeing where we go here.
Now, on the flip side of that, I have high expectations for this Yankees team.
I feel like
I do.
you may need to join me a little bit in the
No,
lower the
I
expectations
won't.
category.
That is kind of impossible for a Yankee fan to do. And actually, so we had Mark on the pod last week, and I don't think this was part of our conversation during the pod, but Mark told me that he thinks that Yankees fans are akin to Dallas Cowboy fans and our yearly
Ouch.
expectations for our team. And I took that personally. Ouch is right, Ryan.
You should have.
I don't subscribe to that
That
at
was
all.
personal.
That was extremely personal, and I don't subscribe to that at all. He called Yankees fans just as, if not more, delusional than Cowboys fans as far as to what we expect from our team every year. But I don't think that's true. You know why? Because the Yankees, at the very least, I can't remember any year, I would say, so the last time the Yankees won a World Series was 2009, okay? We're in 2026 right now. I would say the
Oof.
last 10 years or so, there has not been a team in the American League where the Yankees play that I've looked at, maybe besides the Houston Astros that tormented us for years, these last several years, that has been definitively better than the Yankees at the beginning of the season. There's no team that I really look at any year and think that. So when I look at the Yankees and I expect to see them in the World Series every year, is because I'm looking also at the field that the Yankees are playing against. And I don't really see, again, this year, one team that I'm looking at in the American League that I can point to and say, this team is definitely better than the Yankees. And a lot of people might look at the Blue Jays and say, well, the Blue Jays knocked you guys out last year. And you guys have the same team. That's the big thing right now. You guys running the same team back that you did last year. The Blue Jays beat you last year. What do you think you're going to do this year? You got the same team. They'll beat you again. I'm not looking at it that way. One, because people seem to forget the Yankees won 94 games last year, and no other team in the American League won more games than them. The Blue Jays also won 94 games, yes, but no team won more games than the Yankees last year. Now, when the Yankees met the Blue Jays in the playoffs, yes, the series wasn't particularly close. The Blue Jays were obviously the better team. I don't feel bad saying that. The Blue Jays were 2 outs away from beating the Dodgers in the World Series. Okay, so it's not like the Yankees were losing to a team that ended up getting bounced the next round or getting trounced. I mean, the Blue Jays were that close to making sure the Dodgers did not repeat. So, and the Blue Jays they did take some steps back. I mean, they lost Bichette to you guys. So
Hmm.
they lost one of their best hitters, and I'm just not looking at that team as another team that's also running it back next year. And besides the Blue Jays, there's no one else in the American League that I really think. I mean, there are obviously teams that might challenge us. The Red Sox have a really good pitching staff, so they're predicted to be good. The Tigers also have a really solid team, but you're not going to tell me that these teams are definitively better than the Yankees. No. I feel good about this Yankees team. They are running the same team back offensively, but they had the best offense in baseball last year. All the stats point to it. So I got a positive outlook. First game starts in about an hour on Netflix. A little weird, huh? But yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in on the Yankees this year.
I think everybody who roots for teams in the National League is just anybody but the Dodgers. I think collectively we do not care who it is as long as it's not the Dodgers. That's it.
But you know what? Baseball more, I think, than like basketball, especially basketball. And for the most part, the NFL. The NFL is kind of tricky because you only have one game playoffs in the NFL.
Mhm.
But baseball, I think
How
more
I
so than
prefer it.
other sports, is if you catch a team hot at the right time, you might not want to
Mm.
play that team. Or
Mhm, mhm.
a team can
Yep.
go cold at any point. So there's been years in the past, obviously not the last 2 years that the Dodgers have won the World Series, but there's been years in the past that the Dodgers have also been favored to win the World Series before they got
Mhm.
Ohtani, when they had a lot of talent, and they just ran into hot teams and got bounced before they could make the World Series or got cold. So the Dodgers are obviously the favorite. I mean, their roster is stacked. They're the back-to-back champs. I
Mhm.
don't think anybody's picking against them right now, but a lot can change between March and October. A lot can change. And if the Dodgers are cold going into October, I mean, I think it's up for grabs. I mean, I think your Mets have one of the better rosters to challenge that
I don't disagree with that. I just hope we gel. I think that's one of the things we've really struggled with is just gelling as a team. I mean, I'm hoping listen, I don't think Soto played terrible last season, but I don't think it was his strongest, so hopefully that improves, I think. But, maybe we've got new guys in the locker room, maybe that's gonna shift some things, shift the vibes.
Soto had one of his best years actually last year
He
with you
did, but,
guys.
it didn't feel like it.
He started
It did
slow.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
is really like what also plays into that a little bit. And then
Yeah.
there was some rumors that him and Lindor didn't get along in the clubhouse. So
Mhm.
we got to see if that carries over to this year. They got some new
Please,
faces in
no.
there. You got Bichette. You added Freddie Peralta to be the ace of that team. So
Mhm.
they have the pieces. We just got to see how it all goes together. But I don't know about that defense, Ryan.
I know,
I don't know
I
about
know,
that
I
defense.
know.
You have Bichette playing third. He's never played there. You got Polanco playing first base that you guys picked up from the Mariners in the offseason. He's never really played first.
Didn't I feel like we had this whole conversation where I was, like, talking about I was, like, very concerned about people coming in that hadn't played those positions.
Mm-hmm.
Was that when
Mm-hmm.
Arliss was on
That
with us?
matters.
But it
We've broached this subject on the
yeah.
pod before for sure. Yeah. That
So
matters. And then you
that's
got
yeah.
Soto, who's I mean, I love
I
Soto. He
know.
played for the Yankees, helped us get to the World Series, but he's not a good fielder. Okay, he's not.
I know, I listen, like, you don't
Let's
have to
call
tell
a
me, like,
spade. He's not a good fielder. Okay.
I feel more confident in our hitting than I
Mm-hmm.
have in the past. But, it's fielding that I'm just a little and I'm nervous about pitching. I'm nervous about pitching.
I think outside of Freddie Peralta, you're warranted in being nervous about the pitching.
Yeah,
You are. And a
I'm
lot
s
of Mets fans are they're really trying to sell me on Nolan McLean, who pitched in the World Baseball Classic for
I'm not
Team
gonna.
USA and pitched in the championship game. So like he's been under the bright lights already early in his young career, but I don't know. Do you really want to place all your postseason aspirations on a bunch of young guys and a bunch of maybes outside of Freddie Peralta? It's just I'd be
Well,
a little bit
listen,
nervous.
it has the potential to be great if everybody's kind of on, if people are excited, if people, they're really ready to give it their all, like, certainly could have that element. I'm just out here mourning the trumpets. I'm out here mourning Edwin
Oh, she
Diaz.
still misses Edwin
I'm
Diaz,
so
guys.
sad, but I picked him up in fantasy. I was so
You did.
happy.
You
That was,
did.
like, my
You
favorite
did.
pick. I was so happy. He better have a good season now. Now I'm gonna be mad.
But now it's like, does he even? I mean, with that Dodgers offense, does he even get into close games? Will there be any close games for the Dodgers this year?
I think like you said, I mean, the bar is so high for them. Has anybody ever three-peated?
The last three-peat were the 98, 99, and 2000 Yankees.
Okay. So it's
So it's
been a
happened
minute,
before, but
but it's
it's
been a minute.
been almost 3 decades. Yes.
Listen, sometimes the pressure can be too much, and sometimes you can crack under it. Do I think that's gonna happen to them? I don't know. Probably not. But I think
Probably
like
not, unfortunately.
probably not. But I think like you said, you can go through the baseball season was so fascinating about it is how long it is. And you can go through slumps, you can have hot months and weeks, and, like, really that last stretch, like, you've gotta be on.
Is one of the most important. And
It's one
last
of the most
season,
important.
the Yankees and they seem to do this the last few years. It's like the dog months of summer. I
Mhm,
believe it was like either May and June or June and July. It was a 2-month period last season where the Yankees were the worst team in baseball. And I'm not just like saying that. They were a
mhm,
terrible baseball team for 2 months. It's like they forgot how to play baseball. And it was not fun to watch. But again, they ended the season really strong. And they had a
mhm,
softer schedule to end that season. I remember they played a bunch of teams that had nothing to play for, but they took advantage and they won a lot of those games,
mhm,
which propelled them to end the season with tied with the Blue Jays for the best record. But guess what? During those 2 months where they played terribly, the Blue Jays beat the brakes off of them. And because they finished
mhm.
with the same record in the American League last year, but the Blue Jays beat them so handily during the season, the Blue Jays won the tiebreaker. And that's why the Blue Jays ended up with home field advantage throughout the playoffs over the Yankees, which I also believe um, played a role in the Yankees getting bounced as quick as they did because they did not play good in Toronto at all. Regular season and
Mhm.
postseason. I mean, Toronto just had their way with them every which way. So it is a long season. I expect to be pulling my hair out at multiple points of this season with the Yankees, but that is the kind of beautiful thing about baseball is because it's such a long season, the good teams will show themselves. You understand
Mhm,
what I'm saying?
mhm,
Like, and the
mhm.
record does eventually balance itself out, but man, when your team is going through it in those months, it
It's
makes you feel
tough.
like there is no light
It's
on the
tough.
horizon for
It's
real.
tough. I always laugh when I see I don't know what network it is, but whenever I mean, they did the World Series, but
And
Jeter,
Fox,
A-Rod, and Big
Big
Papi
Papi,
is such, like, the most fascinating dynamic because Big Papi still hates the Yankees,
and
and
he
he'll,
does.
"The Yankee lose," and he'll say it, and, like, you can tell, like, Jeter is just like, "Oh my fucking god." Like,
But
"Please,
that was okay.
please
Like
stop."
he really he piled it on
Please
heavy
stop.
once the Blue Jays beat the Yankees
Yeah, he
because
did.
if you
Yeah.
remember the round before that, the Yankees had to get through the Red Sox in order to get through to the
Mhm,
Blue
mhm.
Jays. So Poppy wasn't happy. He couldn't have been happy
No, he was not.
watching the Yankees send his team home. So he
No,
he was happy that Vlad Guerrero and the
he
boys
was.
avenged his team for sure.
Yeah. When Vlad did the whole thing where he was saying it to him, like, at the
Pissed
he
me
was having
off.
had
Yeah, it did. Pissed me the fuck off.
I thought that was so funny.
Still lives rent free. It's all right. It's all
It
right.
does,
New season. New
it
season.
floats around rent free. I've got a couple of those sports things that do that, but it's just float around rent free, but that's certainly it. But, it's an exciting time. Baseball is back, which means summer is close and cold weather is hopefully leaving us soon. Crossing my fingers on that one.
One can hope. One can
Um,
hope.
Before we move on to the NBA, I just have two things to say about the NHL. Congratulations to Alex Ovechkin, has scored 1,000 goals, which is, I'm not sure, a record anybody thought would ever be reached. I'm not sure it's
So
ever
does
going to be
Gretzky not
broken.
have 1,000?
No,
Wow.
Ovechkin beat Gretzky's last year with like 900 and some, and
Okay.
now he's made it to 1,000.
Okay.
So
Good for him.
Gretzky still holds, I think, a few different records, but yeah, Ovechkin, the LeBron of the NHL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's not a
um,
bad comparison. Does he has rings,
no,
right? Two?
well,
He have
don't
or
tell that
cups?
to
Should I say
PK
cups?
Subban, who went on a whole rant
My
about how you shouldn't
God.
even
We know how PK feels
compare.
about this. Yes.
I mean, honestly, though, if you ever really do want to see a good, I don't want to say rant, but a good argument, you should watch the clip because it is broken down, I think, very well in the differences in the sport and how the comparison is not
Now, was
an
this when he
accurate
went on
comparison.
First Take and was talking to Stephen A about this subject, or because I did see him on First Take debating this topic with Stephen A and the crew.
Yeah, I think it was First Take. It was it was on ESPN, but I'm not sure. But it might have been First Take. I mean, I think this is the age old argument of what is the most difficult sport to play, and I think that certainly hockey, you know, I think you could take any athlete, any really good athlete like LeBron. I think LeBron is a really great example. You could put him on a football field. He can play football. Baseball's harder for sure because the mechanisms and the way you move your body is different, but I think he could do that. I think he could do soccer. That man ain't going to get on a pair of skates.
No, he's not
Like, are
getting on
you
a pair
kidding?
of skates. I'll give you a
So,
little pushback on baseball because it's not easy to hit a
well,
100 mile
no,
an hour fastball,
no. I
regardless of
think
how athletic
he
you
could
are.
probably field
Yes, he could
okay.
feel, he could
He could
run.
field, but
Absolutely, yep.
I do, yeah. But I'm not going to, actually watching. I love how whenever
He's
we,
also a freak of nature. Maybe we shouldn't
sure,
use LeBron.
okay. So let's use Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Also a very good athlete. We're not taking that, or him or Steph.
I was gonna say, I was
I would
thinking
use,
Steph.
so let's
Yeah.
use Steph. Steph, I think, could he maneuver his way on a football field? Sure. I mean, I think he's probably well, how tall is he?
6'3".
Okay.
Yeah,
Receiver,
he's a
maybe.
decent height,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Receiver,
And
okay.
he's put on a lot of muscle throughout his career too. He used to be real slim. I would be scared of him getting hit,
But he's
but
fast,
now
though.
he's more durable. Yes, he
He's
is
fast, though,
fast.
yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So maybe a receiver, maybe I mean, certainly not like a lineman, but like, maybe a
Quarterback? No.
corner. Mm,
Well, he is a point guard. You know, he
maybe. Maybe.
sees the whole
I
field.
mean, do I think he could throw the ball okay? Sure. Do I think, like, he's winning a ring? No. But, I think he'd do okay. I think,
I trust
again,
my goat to do it all. He's
I
gonna go out there and
think
get a ring.
he could field in baseball. I mean, I think hitting is extremely difficult. Like, I love how every time I'm on this podcast with you, I mention some documentary that I watched. But during The Last Dance, when they were talking about that transition and how Jordan had to completely shift how he was maneuvering himself because what you use in baseball is completely,
Right.
muscle groups and all that stuff is completely
Right.
different. You know, so do I think Steph could, with like some decent practice, maybe hit a few? Sure. I don't think the average is going to be great, but like he could make it happen. Soccer, he could make that happen as well. But again, put on a pair of skates. How you going to do
It's a different
when
beast.
it's a whole different game. So I think comparing anything to hockey is very difficult. I think you could put a decent athlete in any of the other, sports and they could be okay. Baseball, I think, would be the most difficult to do. But hockey, no, it's like a completely different no. So, and Alex Ovechkin has only won one Stanley Cup. So,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah. But I think he's been with the Capitals like his entire career, I think.
I think you're right about that, which is
So,
damned impressive and something LeBron
very,
cannot say.
very. No, he can't. That's yeah. I just keep thinking about that argument on the last week's podcast about, oh, that was a really long argument with Mark. Good one, but a very long one.
Least rational LeBron fan.
That was really all over the place in argument style. But anyway, I digress. And the other thing about the NHL is we're in playoff season very soon, much like the NBA, and my Bruins are hanging on to that first wild card spot. We are really trying to just make it. And I hope we do, because if we don't, I'm going to be
Bruins are
sad.
almost always good though, right? You guys don't miss the playoffs too often.
I don't know if we should say that, but we try really hard. But it's been a couple of rough years, I think. Like the last two, I think, have been a little more difficult. But we're working on it. We're trying. Pasta is doing his best, so that we're going to try to do it. But listen, as long as the Stanley Cup doesn't involve the Kachuk brother, I don't care really who goes. So no, no to Florida, and I don't think Florida's going to go because obviously in the standings, like it's not going well for them. But no, thank you. No, thank you. Connor McDavid, please, please win your Stanley Cup so everyone can leave you alone.
I'd love that. Yeah, I'd love that.
I really wish he would. I feel for him a lot. He's like, how everybody, I'm going to bring up LeBron again, but you know how like everyone was like, God, LeBron, just We just need to get him a ring. That's how I feel like Connor McDavid. People feel like Connor McDavid.
Well, that's the first thing I thought when you just brought up his name just now, actually.
Yeah. Is just like, geez, somebody get this man a Stanley Cup.
How long
Please.
has he been in the league now?
I don't know.
Can't be
Really,
that long, right? I remember when his name was just floated around a few years ago, I thought.
11 seasons. 11.
Already?
11 seasons. He's
Wow.
been with the Oilers the whole time.
Wow. Yeah, no, he's due. He's due.
Please,
Absolutely.
please get this man a Stanley Cup. I'm going to be so heartbroken if it doesn't happen for him. But I mean, I'd love to see Sidney Crosby win one more, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Because I do love some Sidney Crosby as well. So, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, it's an exciting time in both of these sports. Exciting time.
Baseball starting. I think we got about what, 2 weeks or so left to the NBA season.
Yeah, I'm kind of like
I
biting
think
my
most
nails
teams have
here.
about 10 or 11 games left for most teams.
Mm-hmm.
Getting down to
I
the
know.
nitty gritty. Those Celtics are still number 2 though, Ryan.
No,
And
I
it looks
know.
like it's looking like they may stay there, although the Knicks are only nope, you guys are tied for second right now. The
That's
Knicks
not
are on a
what I'm
7-game win
seeing.
streak.
I'm so
Well,
mad about that.
the Celtics are 47 and 24, so you're percentage points ahead of the Knicks. They're 48 and 25, so they have one more win than you guys, but also one more loss. So you guys are both 5 back of the Pistons right now. But the Knicks have won 7 straight, Ryan. They are on your ass.
I know. I'm really mad about it. Start nicking. Come on.
This has been a weird
What are
season
we
for them.
doing
I
here?
feel like they're just like a lot of peaks and valleys for them this year.
I think they're going to fall apart, though. So I'm not really that worried.
I don't know. They're coming together at the right time. 2 weeks left of the season. This is the time you want to be peaking.
You know what? But you know what? I don't mind. They're going to make it to the playoffs. Like, that's not a question. It's what do you do in the playoffs? And I can see them going cold.
So if
I'm
the
into
playoffs
it.
started today, the Knicks would be playing the 6th-seeded Atlanta Hawks. And let me tell you something about the Atlanta Hawks, okay? The Atlanta Hawks are 9-1 in their last team. This is the same Atlanta Hawks team that traded away their star point guard and Trae Young earlier this season. And people's really looked at that and thought that that was signaling the start of a rebuild. They have Jalen Johnson, who's really become just a fantastic player the last few seasons for them. He's like, that guy can be a walking triple-double. But I think their focus was really on just rebuilding around him, which is why they traded Trae Young away. But I don't think anybody expected that the Hawks would be sitting in 6th place in the East right now after doing that deal, being 9-1 in their last 10. I believe they just had a win streak broke. I think their win streak reached 11 before it was broken last week. So, I mean, the Knicks on paper are a better team than the Atlanta Hawks. But if you ask them right now if that's the team that they wanted to be walking into the playoffs with, I don't think the Knicks would be happy with
No,
that.
I don't think so.
Now they're
Yeah.
not going to say that out loud, of course. They're gonna let the public know they're not scared to play any team. But I'm telling you, you have to look at the way the Hawks have been playing post All-Star break and just really give that team. And I believe their coach is Nate McMillan. You got to give them a lot of respect.
You know what I can't believe when I'm looking at the standings right now? The Lakers are 3rd in the West.
And how much flack has everyone given the Lakers
So
this
much.
year?
So much. I mean, I don't think they're going to make it to the finals because I can't see them. No.
There
I'm
are
just
three.
looking at this
There are
I'm like,
there are 3 teams that I
yeah,
don't think they can beat: the Thunder, the Spurs, who are both ahead of them in the standings, and then I'm sorry, they can't. Since LeBron
yeah.
has been on this Lakers team, they have not had an answer for Nikola Jokic. They haven't. Okay. The Nuggets beat the Lakers almost every single time they see them when it matters. Okay. When they had Anthony Davis, and now they don't have Anthony Davis. I mean, they beat you with AD. I don't feel better about your team going up against Jokic
No.
without AD. So,
No.
I mean, they have a good team, and they've definitely, they're 9-1 in their last 10. Luka has been playing like a man possessed. We all know why. We don't got to
True.
broach the subject, but Luka has been playing he's been playing at him. He's forced himself into MVP conversations. Do you remember earlier this year like Ryan, we did our like top 3 and
Oh, yeah.
MVP voting right now. Like
Wasn't even
I didn't
like
I didn't have Luka
wasn't on the
anywhere on that
radar.
radar. And if you
Nope.
asked me my top 5 at that point, I mean, maybe
I
I would
don't
have had
even
him
think he would have
5.
gone then too.
Maybe. You know what I mean? But he has forced himself into that conversation because the Lakers have taken off, and I mean that has been all Luka. All Luka.
Mhm. Mhm. I'm impressed. I think the only way though that they beat the Nuggets is if the Nuggets themselves die. Like if they implode themselves, that's how the Lakers get through that team. But I
But the
can't I
Nuggets are just
can't
getting
see them.
healthier.
Yeah. I can't see them making it past those 3 teams. Yeah, I don't see it. But a great effort to pull it together the way that they have. So kudos to them.
Absolutely. And
Kudos
if
to
the
them.
Lakers started the playoffs today, they'd be playing the Houston Rockets in the first round. And I would have them beating the Rockets. You know why?
Mhm.
Because Kevin Durant has no second scorer on that team.
How
Like
old is he now?
he has no ball handler on that team outside of himself. I believe he's 37.
Oof. We're getting up there.
He came out and said the other day he only has a few seasons left, which we all know, right? But
True.
it
But
makes
he
it
said it
more
out loud.
it makes it more real when they say it out loud.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah, for
truth.
sure. For
They're
sure.
acknowledging their own mortality, and that means something.
Can I tell you that I heard one of the best takes? I meant to bring this up last week, but I completely forgot about it. So, Bill Simmons, who we all know that I love because I praise him like every podcast, he was reading something on his podcast that I think like a fan had written in. And he was like, the way that LeBron should end his year or his last year is he should sign to play one game with every team. Everybody should play with LeBron before he stops. And that way, he's guaranteed a ring.
That is not how I thought that sentence was gonna finish.
Yep. I
Nah,
don't
but
hate it
like
though. I don't hate it.
this is but
I
listen,
don't hate it.
listen, okay? Listen to me. Mark, if
I don't
you
hate
out
it.
there, listen to me. This is what your GOAT has to do just to get his 5th ring. 5th, not to tie MJ, but to pull within 1. We have to come up with these scenarios that are absolutely unheard of,
Mhm.
specifically for this man.
But wait, but why now that I'm thinking about it,
Unbelievable.
is this just like the Bam game of breaking Kobe's record? So you mean to tell
Hmm.
me that LeBron's gonna tie, but it doesn't mean anything because
It
he played
means
with every single
nothing.
team?
Wow.
But I
Wow.
don't hate the concept.
I don't hate
Like, I don't
I
hate
don't
the
hate the
concept of
concept.
it. But
You actually had me until you said he could get a
and then he
ring
gets a
with
ring.
anything because I was on board. I really
You're like,
was.
"No, this sounds cool." And then you're
Yeah,
like,
it's like I'm
"But
like, this is a
he's
novel
gonna
idea.
get
And
a
I'm
ring."
like, oh my God, no.
I think it's a cool concept. I don't know. I hope he goes to Cleveland. I hope he finishes it out at Cleveland. I mean, and not just like for a season, not just like a game, like
And to be honest, I think we may have spoken about this in a previous episode. If he goes to that Cleveland team as is currently
mhm.
constructed,
Mhm.
they might be favorites in the East, right? I'm not gonna lie to you.
Could put up
They're
a
looking
fight. Could put
good.
up
They're
a fight
looking
for
good since
sure.
they traded for James Harden.
Yeah.
The Cavs are 4th seed right now. So you add LeBron to that mix. I understand he's 50. We get it, guys, but
50.
we see we see what he's doing this season, and
All
he's
of a sudden
still
you've aged
top
him another
25 player.
9 years. Jeez. I know the
Oh
hairline's
man.
bad, but it's not that bad. LeBron. Well, I got to tell you, that could mean scary things in the East next year, but I got to tell you, this Detroit team, oof,
You know what impresses me about this team? So they lose
oof.
Cade Cunningham, and they still have won the last 4 games. I mean, this is such a good, like, well put together team, like well constructed team. And
Mhm.
I mentioned before, like Cade Cunningham, he himself, he actually doesn't have a second scoring option. Not
Mhm.
somebody that you can hand the ball to in the 4th quarter with a minute left in the game and say, okay, go give me a bucket. He doesn't have
Mhm.
anybody else like that really reliable on his team. So the fact that they've stayed winning games even in his absence, I think is a testament to that team as a whole more than
Mhm.
anything.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, how long is he out for though? Is he back soon?
I don't think he's back soon. When he got diagnosed with the collapsed lung, it was rumored that he might be out for the rest of the regular season, and that the
Mm,
hope was that he would be able to come back for the start of playoffs. But now, with that being the case, there's a lot of conversation about him now being excluded from a lot of these like major NBA season awards because he's not going to reach the threshold of the
I don't
65
like
games
that.
played that you needed.
I don't like that. He should be eligible, but I don't like it.
I it's such a mixed bag, right? Because this rule was implemented, I believe it was implemented in 23, 24. And I got a couple people I'm gonna blame for this rule, okay? So for those who don't know, the NBA implemented a rule a few years ago that basically says if you're going to be eligible for any full season award like the MVP, being an all NBA first team, second team, third team, being an all NBA defensive player on any of those teams, like the league basically said you have to play at least 65 games a season, and if you play anything less than that, you're automatically ineligible to be considered for these awards.
That's
Now,
crazy.
they implemented this rule because of two guesses, load management. Okay?
Mm.
Load management has been an issue in the NBA for too long now. So actually one of my biggest pet peeves with the NBA as it currently stands. And we have no one else more to blame for that started this than Greg Popovich. And I know a lot of people didn't expect that on this day in 2026, Greg Popovich is going to be catching strays on this podcast, but here it is. Okay. I I don't know if people remember this, but back in 2012, there was a game that the Spurs had back at the time when Greg Popovich was still coaching them. They had a game against the Miami Heat. So if you think back to the 2012 Miami Heat team, this is a team that LeBron still played for, okay? With Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen, right? So they had a game, and it was the last game of a long road trip. And instead of playing his starters, he decided to send Tim Duncan home, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker. None of them played in this game. And there was nothing wrong with them. None of them were on the injury report, nothing like that. He just said, you know what? This is the last game of a long road trip. I don't want you guys playing. So the NBA commissioner at the time was David Stern. And we all know David Stern didn't play any games when he was the commissioner of this league. So he sees that and he said, "What the hell are we doing here? This is a nationally televised game. You are two of the best teams in the league. We have a fan viewership that really wants to see these stars play up against each other. How can you send your four best players home on a plane? Like they didn't even suit up to come to the game at all, Ryan." So David Stern, he turns around and finds them $250,000 for that. But that move right there by Greg Popovich really laid the foundation for what we see now, 14 years later in load management. Because it has become increasingly more and more acceptable to sit these players that don't have significant injuries. We're sitting players for the first or second half of a back to back. We are putting on the injury report that they have illnesses or a sore back. We have fans going out to these games, paying good money to see these players play. We got kids that it might be their only time going to the arena that they might have to see certain players play. And you're resting these guys because you don't want them to play back-to-back games. This is not the NBA that I grew up watching, not the NBA that I
Well,
that I know and that I love. We're paying these guys millions and upon millions of dollars,
you know what
20,
the answer
30,
to this
40,
is?
$50 million, and you telling me that you can't do your job and play in a back to back? It makes no sense.
I'm not gonna go as hard lined with you on this because I think they should play less games. I said this last week and like, you're putting your body through an insane amount of work
And you're
to be
compen
healthy.
but you're
Like,
you're compen but you are
I
compensated
know, but
for that. And we
still,
have we
like,
have right now as it stands, we have the best treatment that we've ever had for these players. They get the best treatment, they get the best medicine. Players have never had it so good when it comes to taking care of their bodies. So because we pay them so much, yes, I understand you're
I
putting
don't
your
know.
body on the line, but that is why we pay you the amount of money that we pay you to do exactly that.
Yeah, but
So,
but you also have to think about, like, yeah, we're paying them a lot of money, but how long is your career? It could
Exactly.
be but it could be done at any time. You could have one injury that could kill it, you know? I don't know. I'm not as hard-lined on this as you are. I don't think there should be rules about, like, the MVP stuff. I think that's dumb, like, football doesn't have that, but, you know,
I think
I
it's
don't know.
necessary. We can't have players that put their body on the line for 70 to 75 games for their team, and sometimes more than that. And had this like traumatic injury not happened to Cade Cunningham, like he would have played a significant amount of games this season, right? So we can't have players that are playing damn near 82 games, superstars, and then we have other players that are playing 45 to 50 games because they're missing more than half the season and have their seasons looked at as comparable, especially when it comes to awards like the MVP, because you can't tell me that somebody that played 45 to 50 games for their team and somebody that played 75 to 80 for their team, the value is not the same there. So when they came out with this rule and they imposed the 65 game minimum, I was here for it because now that means you have to play a certain amount of games to be considered for these awards, and I love that. However, two things can be true at the same time. While I do
Mhm.
like that rule for the league as a whole, it does break my heart to see players like Cade Cunningham that actually have a significant injury take them out
Mhm.
for a significant amount of games.
Hmm.
It is a double-edged sword when it comes to things like this,
Maybe they should amend it
which is I
based
think
on
what
the
the
injury, I
Right. So
think.
the
You
the
know?
Players Association ended up sending a memo to the league, kind of campaigning and championing Cade Cunningham, and
Mhm.
basically saying like we understand the rule, but at the same time, because this is in the collective bargaining agreement, by the way, right? So if the league as a whole did not agree with this 65 game rule, it wouldn't have been implemented, right? The players had to also agree to this.
Mhm.
So it wasn't that the players sent the memos to the league and said we just want this completely done with, but they do agree that there needs to be some type of amendment, like you said. There needs to be some compromise that the players and the league can come to. And I think they mean for like special circumstances like the
Mhm.
Cade Cunningham
Mhm.
situation. Um,
Well, I will say that I think I like that football doesn't have that rule. There's no real rules, but I
but
think
you
how
don't
it's
see this load management
no.
issue in football at all,
Well,
and
I
a
mean,
much more
part of
physical
that
sport.
is well,
And games matter so much, I think is another part of that too.
I think you have to look at how this sport is implemented. It's you have so many more players. Players sub out much more frequently, like, they're not out there for every play, like, it's I don't know, I just think the structure of football is just so different in terms of how long players are playing, but I do think it's odd that, like, both Cade Cunningham and TJ Watt both had a lung issue. I've never seen this before.
It is interesting. I agree.
So is there, like, a rash of collapsed lungs that are gonna start happening? What is this? I don't know, I find that very odd. It's like that one I don't know if it was, like, this year or last year when, like, everybody in football and in basketball, the Achilles, it was just like, I don't know what happened, but, like,
Yep.
I don't know.
Just a
Conspiracy
rash of
theories.
them.
Maybe we'll build in a new conspiracy theory segment for injuries, team on the pod. But I do think that that's interesting. I mean, I think that for football, I think sometimes I don't know, how do you vote on MVPs? How does that work in the NBA?
The media
Media does
votes.
oh, so it's the same structure as it is with the NFL?
Yeah, you'd
The
know more
media
about the
does?
NFL than me, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's the media and the NBA.
See, sometimes I think, like, the MVPs, I think are, like I mean, we've kind of touched on this before. I don't always like how they're voted on because I think, like, sometimes an MVP performance like, I remember a couple years back when, like, Joe Burrow was, like, magically marching the Bengals mangled form to the playoffs. Like they were dead in the water, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, could he actually do this? And I think if he would have if brought them to the playoffs, he should have won that MVP because that's insane. So, I mean, I don't know. What? Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that rule though. I don't like that rule in terms of if it's a severe enough injury, you shouldn't be penalized. I mean, like, if you have the flu, like, get the fuck go out there. Jordan did it. That's why he's the
Well, I
GOAT.
think that's fair.
Like,
I think if people miss games, because
mhm,
again, there's injury reports every game. So prior
mhm,
to the game,
mhm,
you have to state exactly what the injury is that
mhm,
they're out for. So maybe they should just keep a running log about certain injuries. If the injury is not significant enough, then
mhm.
that's a game counted against you. But if it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a serious bad injury, then it doesn't count in your games played
Yeah,
against you.
because you can't do anything about that. That's like,
Right, exactly. Right,
so I
exactly.
think that rule should be amended. I understand the purpose of it. I'm not totally on board with it, but I can understand the purpose, but I think there needs to be an amendment because that's not fair to him. He's had a stellar season. He shouldn't be punished because he missed, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 games to be able to make it to,
Right.
you know yeah, I
And
don't
you
agree with that.
then the last piece tied to that too is a lot of incentives are built into these contracts.
Oh, yeah,
So
for sure.
I'm
Yep.
sure Cade has some incentive in his contract about making an all NBA team or winning an
Mhm,
MVP. They get
mhm.
paid more for these things.
Yeah, same in
And I think
football
that's
as well.
really
Yeah.
what the Players Association, I really think that's another big reason why they reached out to the league about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, football contracts are similar in that sense
Mhm.
as well.
Mhm.
So, they're always incentivized. Only such and such amount of money is guaranteed in anybody's contract. Although some people get guaranteed way more money than they should. Looking at you, Deshaun Watson. But that is a story for another day. Well, I hope he's back for the postseason. And I say that
I
as a
do.
Celtics fan. I don't think
And
anybody should
I
be
think
like, I
all
hate
NBA
that,
fans
you
agree
know?
with you. Yes. We want to see the Detroit Pistons healthy going into the playoffs. They've earned that this year, I think, from all of us. And we want to see how well they play. I would definitely want to see how that translates come
hmm
postseason.
hmm Um, Also, just want to say before we leave basketball altogether, congrats to anybody who still has their Final Four intact for their March Madness bracket. Mine still
Are we down
are.
to Final Four?
No, not yet. We've
Or
got
I
other
think we're at
things to
Sweet
do, but
16. Duke's
I
still in
think
it,
we're
baby.
yep, yep. My East bracket, perfect. Still perfect. I've
Still
called
perfect?
everything
I thought
still
someone busted
perfect.
it.
No. The rest of it, don't look at it, but the East is absolute perfection.
Very
It's
nice.
so good.
Impressive.
I should take a picture of it and just like frame it somewhere because I don't think it's ever looked this nice. But yeah, so shout out to people who are still making it work in their brackets. Other people who picked Florida, like my brother, so sorry. That did not work out for you.
Gonzaga.
I just want to
Shout out
say,
St. John's though.
shout out St. John's. I have a list of schools. I think there are about 6 on the list that I'll never pick ever again. Doesn't matter how good they are. They've screwed me over one too many times. Gonzaga at the top of that fucking list. I may pick you to win like the first round, but you're not going any further than that because you've let me down too many times.
Kind of how I feel about certain people that I put in my parlays. Yeah, once you screw
There
me
you go.
over too many more time, you're not back allowed back on that bet
It's not doing
list.
it.
Fuck you.
No. And you know what? Since creating this list, I have not been disappointed. So, yeah, it works, people. Hold grudges. It helps. All right, moving on to trash cans, my favorite segment. One person's rant about what's bothering them the most in sports. Ray, what do you got for us this week?
So Aaron Judge was playing in one of his final spring training games the other day against the Baltimore Orioles, and he makes it out. And what do the fans at that game do, Ryan? They boo Aaron Judge. They boo Aaron Judge. Why do you Let me just ask you a question. Why do you think they did that, Ryan?
Because he's really good at his job.
See, what a rational answer. He's good at his job. He's damn good at his job. He's one of the best at doing that
He
job.
is.
Okay? So like Yankee fans, why are we booing? And this comes the Yankees fans that are booing him. I want to ask y'all a question. Did this come from what you guys like saw as a lackluster performance from him in the final of the World Baseball Classic? Because Ryan, if you didn't know, in the final, Team USA lost. I think they lost by a run, and Aaron Judge struck out 3 times in that game. He did. He struck out 3 times in that game, and I couldn't wait. The next day, I already knew the people were going to be out. I was on social media. I'm like, the piranhas are going to be out on Aaron Judge's ass today, because people can't wait. People can't wait to talk. They can't wait to say something. Oh, you're the best player in baseball, but you can't do it when the lights are bright.
Mm.
Oh, anytime there's a big moment up, he folds. He can't get it done when it matters most. I just knew. I knew the narrative was coming. And that's all I saw on social media. It's really all I've seen because really in reality, the WBC only ended last week. So for the last week, that's all I've seen on social media. So then he plays in the spring training game for the Yankees. He's back with the team and he gets booed. And it's like, okay, so he had a bad game in the final. But do people realize that Team USA had 3 hits as a team in that entire game, and Bryce Harper had 2 of those hits, including the only RBIs on the team. So if your name wasn't Bryce Harper, you on that Team USA team, the rest of y'all got 1 hit in 9 innings, 1 hit. But it's okay. Let's single out Aaron Judge because well, he's the captain of the New York Yankees. He was the captain of the team. So he's the easy guy to look at and find fault in. But that whole team underperformed. Now, did Aaron Judge have a bad game? I'm not denying that, nor am I defending it. He didn't show up when it mattered. But this is the same guy who's coming off a back-to-back, and I'm looking at Yankees fans again, okay? This is a guy that's coming off back-to-back MVP seasons for your team. Not Team USA, but for your team. You watch this guy for 162 games, clearly be, if not the best hitter in baseball or the best player in baseball, the the top 2 best players in baseball. Okay, it's between him and Otani right now, and you can't tell me that Otani's a better hitter. Okay, he might be the better player because he also does it on the mound, which Judge just can't do. But Judge is the better hitter, and it is the best hitter in the league right now. Yankee fans, let me ask y'all a question. If Aaron Judge wasn't on this team, what would this team look like? I'll tell y'all. So in the last, I believe, 30 plus years, the Yankees have only missed the playoffs 1 time. That was in 2023. I know a lot of Yankees fans remember this. 2023 is the season where the Yankees were in LA. The only time they visited LA that year, they were playing the Dodgers. There was a fly ball hit to right field. Aaron Judge sacrificed his body and ran into the wall at Dodger Stadium to catch this ball, made the catch. He sprained his foot on that play because he ran into the wall, sprained his toe. He missed the next 2 months after he sprained his toe, and the Yankees fell apart, Ryan. I remember this vividly. They fell apart. They looked like one of the worst. They went from one of the best teams in the American League to one of the worst teams in baseball, missing Aaron Judge out of their lineup. They tanked. Last year, 2025, there was a moment in the summer where Aaron Judge started to miss some games because he had some issues with his elbow. And people instantly got worried. Is he going to have Tommy John? Season's over. We don't have Aaron Judge. We're not making playoffs. Season's over. This is the difference that he makes in our team. And this is the guy that you guys decide to boo because he had a bad game in the World Baseball Classic. Like a lot of y'all favorite players don't have a bad game. And a game where you are applauded, you're celebrated. We want to send you to the Hall of Fame if you're successful 33% of the time. You're one of the greatest players on the planet if you fail in this game 67% of the time. And let me tell you, Aaron Judge comes through more times than not. In the playoffs, he hasn't always shown up. I admit that. But let's not forget what he just did last year in the playoffs. He hit one of the biggest home runs of his career against the Blue Jays. That matters. Not to mention in the World Baseball Classic, he had a bad game in the final. But I remember him throwing out 2 runners in the World Baseball Classic that tried to advance at third base, and he threw out both of those runners. These things matter, okay? He might have a bad offensive game, but Aaron Judge is an all-time great. We're witnessing one of the all-time great baseball players, not just of this generation, but of any generation. I saw a stat today. Aaron Judge already has 4 seasons with 50 plus home runs. which is tied with the likes of like Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, some of the best players we've ever seen play this game. And he already has 4 seasons of that, and he's in his prime, mind you. We're watching a generational hitter. We won't see a player like this again. When you talk to your kids in 20, 30 years, you're going to be like, I watched Aaron Judge play. So we got to do better as Yankees fans, especially if we're trying to support the guy that puts on every single day for our city. And let me ask you a question. If you are a player on a different team, right? And you see Aaron Judge, who plays for the Yankees and is an amazing player for them. If you see him getting booed, you think that's gonna make you want to go play in New York? I just want to. I'm asking the fans this. Do you think that's gonna make any free agent, if we're booing Aaron Judge, who came up in our system, and our farm system, we molded this guy. He became who he was with the Yankees, the first captain since Derek Jeter. That's the guy that y'all are choosing to brew in a spring training game. We're not talking about in September with him striking out with the bases loaded against the Toronto Blue Jays with a week left in the season, and he's having a bad time, and y'all boo him then. We're talking about in a spring training game. Do y'all really think that is gonna attract other free agents to this team or make anybody want to come play for the New York Yankees? Y'all, we got to do better, man. We got to do better. We got to treat our greats better. We got to treat Aaron Judge better because now, if he goes and he stinks up this entire season, which, come on, let's be real, none of us think that's going to happen, then that's the time that you can get on his back a little bit. But you can't boo the man in March for one bad game in March at a time when players are still trying to get their bearings together. He did good things in this World Baseball Classic. He did not play well in the final. But if that's what we're going to use as ammunition to bash a guy that has did, been nothing but great to this franchise, the bar's got to be higher, guys. Trash cans.
And let me also ask a question to Yankees fans. What do you think the booing is accomplishing? Like, do you think that makes somebody want to go play harder for
Mm-hmm.
you? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me when I say, and I would say this for every single athlete that plays on a professional level, there is no amount of you booing or telling them what they did wrong that is going to amount to the pressure that they've put on themselves. The running back plays in their mind of what they could
Mm-hmm.
have done differently,
Constantly.
how it could have been. Like, there's nothing you're going to do that's worse than what they're already doing to themselves.
And
So
I saw, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go.
I saw a few seasons ago Trey Turner, who is one of my favorite players in baseball. So Trey Turner is a shortstop for the Philadelphia Phillies. Trey Turner was having a bad go at it. Okay, he was in a huge slump, which is unlike him. He's a perennial all-star, great player, always hits for average, hits for pop. Love Trey Turner, fast, everything. He was having a bad time of it at the plate. So you know what the Philadelphia Phillies fans did? He came up to bat and they gave him a standing ovation. This is the
Mm-hmm.
middle. This is the middle. This is the middle of the regular season. They gave him a standing ovation. Now, I believe he made an out in that at bat. But if you look at his stats post ovation, Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
he off. Took off after those fans stood up and clapped and encouraged him instead of putting him down. Now I
Mm-hmm.
know New York, it's a baseball city. I get it. Like we are crazy sports. Like we is you got to perform in New York. Like we take no
Mm-hmm.
prisoners here. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's anybody that we should give more grace to, especially in spring training, y'all, it's March. The first day of spring barely just hit, and we're booing the captain
Mm-hmm.
of our team for making it out in a spring training game because we didn't like how he played in one game of the World Baseball Classic when the
Mm-hmm.
entire team played like shit. Come on, we got to do better than that.
Because also just think of the equivalent. What if every time you went to go do something at your job, all of your coworkers booed you? Like, just imagine that. Like, imagine what that
Morale would be
does to
real
your
low. I can
morale, your
guarantee it.
self esteem. Like, No. That's why it's so important to, frustration as a sports fan is very real. Trust me, I know. I'm a Mets fan. But booing or doing anything of that nature in front of a player, that's not helping anything. If you're going to do that, boo it at your television where they're not there. But that doesn't help. You need to inject positivity as much as you can. They're going through it. And again, I agree. Trash cans. March, guys, really? Come on. March. You kidding? At least save it for June. If you're going to do it, that doesn't even make any sense. Oh my God. Were those Mets fans in the crowd? What was even happening there?
It was a game against the Orioles. I don't know.
Ugh.
I don't know. It may, some
Mm-mm-mm.
of it probably was Orioles fans, but
Sure.
I mean, you're probably
But
not
even
gonna boo
then,
the guy for making it out if you're an Oriole fan. So that leads
gonna
me to believe it was Yankees fans.
what are you booing the man for doing his job? What is this? I don't,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
silly. Trash
Exactly.
cans.
Yeah,
Trash
so the
cans.
Yankees are about 5 minutes here. I'm watching the national anthem on the TV right now on Netflix. They're about 5 minutes from their first pitch of the season. I hope he hits 3 home runs today. That's a big fuck you to everybody that was booing him the other night.
I hope he does for you as well. It's early enough in the season where I can be cheerful for other teams. So I'll give that one to you.
I give you till tomorrow night when the Mets play. That'll all
Oh
be done.
my God. I'm so nervous. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us at the rundown. We'll talk to you guys next week.
All right, holla.